So remember, I don't claim to be Jesus Christ, Elijah, Elisha, Moses, Aaron, John the Baptist. I don't claim any of those titles. So I just want to make that clear for anybody that may, whatever you think. And so I'm honored that you can't have, here's the way the whole system works. I can't have somebody that is, well, let's put it this way. Considering my name rolls off the tongue of Stephen James, John Quentin Wise III, Jonathan Click, but with Jonathan Click, when my name rolled off his tongue, it was a negative. Well, first he was apologizing to me, and then he said, all you shills are in deep doo-doo. And so he apologized, said, "I'm sorry, Robin Hood. And all you shills, you're in for deep doo-doo." That's how I read it. That's how it's interpreted. So, but it's a negative condensation or condemnation, whatever that word is. It's meant for people to interpret it in a negative way. And then Stephen James, same thing. The one thing about him is he continued. He started from the beginning. He saluted me, Robin Henry Tees. He said, "I salute you, Robin Henry Tees," in a video through Gematria. And then Robin Henry Tees is a lion, Nephilim, Antichrist, loser or whatever. But the consistency with James is that he's constantly mentioned my name, good or bad, doesn't matter. Just the point that someone in that high stature like that is mentioning a nobody. And then John Quentin, you still do the same thing. Even though I can read, between the lines also with you, I'm just not sure who you are. I don't know if you're the third Jonathan Click. I don't know if you're Stephen James behind a mask. And the only way I'll know that you're not John from Denver behind a mask is when you and John from Denver show up at Stephen James's house. Then I'll know that, all right, well, okay. Or, who knows? I don't know how you guys change your voice so well and change your mask and stuff, but you're definitely good. Derek Bros mentioned good things about me. In the position that he's in, he's the only one in a high position where you can look up his name, his account, his history, and what's shown on there is that he's a movie producer for worked for Paramount Pictures as the vice president, and then that ties into the Truman Show, and I was on his show 3 weeks in a row. So he had good things to say. He appreciated, even though I still don't really know which, I focused in on finding Enki and Enlil and Enoch and Elijah, and I've discovered some very realistic things. And it's probably because I did get each character at some point, but I juxtaposition and then I flip-flop from one to the other. And Here it goes again, this bridge. It's like condensation happens, and then all of a sudden the water just rises up from underneath of that bridge. It's so weird. Every time. Raining or not. So all I can say is what in my actual life, when it comes to dealing with a bunch of liars, I've dealt with a bunch of them in the beginning. Within the first year, 2 years, I dealt with the most attacks that I think anybody can really have on a YouTube platform, who was just going in innocently looking for truth and finding a bunch of liars. And then that's how I found the truth, through all of you liars. That's how that works. So considering you got, I mean, I know you all act like you're bums and you don't have any money, and or you're just like regular, like John Quinton. I don't know where you claim to live, or where you're, like Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's right. But the history of whatever. You have to be one of the Jonathan Clecks, one of those twins, the third one, or you're just one of them. You're the other one. Maybe you're Jezebel. Who knows? Maybe it's Ahab and Jezebel. Whoever you are, you're not an actual real person, because your nose hairs can't just all of a sudden grow in one nostril after 2 days of being called out for not having any nose hairs. But I think that was done on purpose, just to be it's just so obvious. But who's really, because I am entertaining angels, but I'm quite aware of it. I remember Derek said that bros the one time, and definitely I think that's exactly who I was talking to. And because you have this information that you already know what I'm going to do before I do it, so you got to be tapped in somehow. But even demons can do the same thing, but God can as well. And I think that's what Steve Benoom was doing at one time with the X app with me. I don't know how he knew I was, well, because he knew the future, that's how. But he knew where I was going to go, and I was going to go down Center City, and I was going to see that hole in the ground, and it was a holy one, because the number 1 was right there, and it was right in front of Israel, in between Israel and the U2 sign, right after I did the U2 Fire from Heaven show in the art museum. So I think what Steve Benoom was doing was lending the devils know that we have the same technology, so it's not, and so yeah, I mean, it's an honor to be mentioned by devils that can't keep my name out of their mouth, or at least are acting like devils. Because you know the truth, obviously, because you're following me all the time. John Quinton is a bird watcher. He always talks about birds. And I've always thought that was pretty, that was like, I don't know, like very gay. Because being a bird watcher is someone that watches people's birds, and they watch what they do, and they try to threaten them that their bird's going to get chopped off if thou shalt touch it. But in the meantime, it's like, what are you guys doing with yours? And you're trying to tell other people what to do with theirs, like Saul. And I think Jonathan, well, Saul he had a sword in his hand as he was following David, stalking David all the time. He always had his sword in his hand. So, and this is all about the beheading in the Bible. I never thought it was the beheading of your bird I just thought like, oh wow, they really chop your head off. That sucks. It must hurt for a second, and then you're done. But No, it's about the bird watchers. I mean, that's on you. You want to watch people with what they do with their bird, that's on you. But the attacks haven't... I don't know. I don't know if anybody's attacking me. If they are, I don't feel it. I felt it in the beginning, and that was the plan, because the plan was to attack me off of YouTube. And I had literally the army of the United States of America, because you guys sit behind the computers. You're in the Army, you're in the Navy, you're under the waters, over the Bahamas, you're NASA, your FBI, NSA, CIA. I have all of yous coming in my direction, trying to intimidate me by showing me how I'm gang stalked all day long at every which angle. And all it really is just a surveillance exercise, I would say. I call gang, you can, it's whatever. Gang stalking is alphabet soup, surveillance techniques, testing periods, sharpening skills for those that they do it to. It's like a boot camp type of an army enlisting. You hop onto YouTube, Robin, you're voluntarily signing away your privacy or your safety. Yeah, there you go, safety. I mean, it would be nice to hear nice things. And I mean I do at times. I hear some nice, kind words. John from Denver says a lot of kind words. He's hung in there for quite some time with me communicating with them, and then not communicating with them, and then communicating this way and not on the phone, and not being bothered by anybody on the phone that tends to, you know, send you a bunch of stuff or try to influence me one way or another. And that's why when I used to talk to Justin, for the most part, I enjoyed it until towards the end I started feeling harassed and forced, and he just kept taking shots, and I'm like, enough already. All right, devil. And yes, John Quentin Wise III, if you say that you're the devil in the flesh, all right, well, I'm going to call you the devil. And what I can sense from Justin is that the devil speaks through him. But so does Christ. But the devil was speaking more, I felt. Because, you know, look at the master builder there over in Michigan. Yep. So at some point it'll be nice to be talked about kindly and truthfully, and by the top tier people, and stop lying about me. But it's part of what I got to go through, and I don't know exactly when the ending is. But when Steve Manu was teaching the last biblical teaching, and again, it reminded me of, I forget what character he even said in the Bible, but being just attacked and harassed and just lied about and just non-stop. The only reason why it's non-stop is because of Stephen James DeShawn. And considering John Quentin Wise is just attached to him, he does the same thing, and it just reminds me of the same acting spirit. It's just an act. But who are you trying to kid, though? That's the thing. John Quentin Wise, what group of people are you still trying to fool when you talk about me as if I'm a 33rd degree Mason? As if, as if I am 33 degree Mason. I'm not a Mason. I'm a carpenter. Remember God told me to become a carpenter? so I can play the role of Jesus. That's what he said. He said, well, he actually told me that later on after I became a carpenter. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm a carpenter like Jesus. It's funny. I didn't know I was going to play that role, but I really didn't know that I was going to be accused of being the Antichrist. Because apparently I'm coming against the Christ that's already been scripted out, but he's really the Antichrist. So that's how the system is right now with me. I come into the YouTube platform with the Spirit of Christ stomping lying serpents, because it's the tail that I heard from the serpent, and stomping it out because it's a lie. And then being accused of being the Antichrist. Well, if Stephen James claims to be Yeshua Emmanuel, with us as Jesus, all right, well then I guess that's who. Then I guess I'm the Antichrist, because I'm not going to let somebody continually lie about me and just keel over and say, oh, okay, you're right, because you're not. If you're a liar, and I know you're lying because you're lying about me, and I know I'm telling you the truth, then you are the Antichrist. But with me being attached to that name, and again, for people that may not know, the name Stephen James DeShawn is considered the vicar of Lucifer, according to the Vatican, that basically runs the show, this vain show here. And for 6 years, he hasn't stopped dropping my name in a negative way. Always threatening, just always threatening. But God told me, don't be afraid of the faces of the people with the angry faces, and because they're all acting WWEF wrestling type. And yeah, at some point, I may actually go down to hell, where I may see where the souls are, like how that whole soul system is set up, and then where the room where you take that person that died, the soul, and then you give it an ultimatum to either burn in the lake of fire that you're not really going to throw them in, or comply and put this earpiece and become a gang stalker for Satan. Because I may be offered the same thing, but I know heaven is an actual place. Heaven is definitely an actual place. Hell, I guess it is too. It's just, earth. It can be either or, but it's definitely been hell from the beginning, because we've been slaves in this planet. No matter what color you are, that has nothing to do with it. We're slaves. And so bringing heaven down to earth is simply having access to wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, the house that you want to live in of your dreams, dream it up and live in it. Each person should have at least one vehicle of their dreams, and let's say a truck and a car. That's all you really need, right? A truck to carry stuff and a car to just enjoy it. So there's really no other truck I'd rather have than this one right now. And then the only other car I'd rather have is a white Ferrari, brand new, spanking, never ridden on before. And a home somewhere on the beach, and then one more home, say, up in the mountains, just to do like the snow thing. And that's really it. Access to going, and that's heaven on earth. So access, in other words, heaven on earth is, well, it's the same as heaven. You're not, before you die and get your perfect body, heaven comes down here, and finances don't stop you from doing what you want to do in life. That's heaven bringing down to earth. But in the meantime, I'm still being attacked because Scripture has to be, it has to line up with those same things. So whoever the Antichrist is, they would be coming against whoever has the Christ Spirit in them. Not like the hope of glory or anything like that. Just legitimately the Spirit of Christ, the tree of life, not your actual tree of life in the holy place filled with the Holy Spirit. Not that one. But that's the abomination of desolation, standing in the holy place. And that's what is being judged, because that was the secret chambers. That Christ isn't in the secret chambers. All right? He's not over in the desert places either. Christ is on YouTube. The Spirit is there. That's why I'm getting so much resistance, Robin. Because I have not sent you. I know. I haven't sent you either. The devil did. The devil sent everybody after me. And the funny thing is, I'm still here. I still get threats. But, you know, so be it. Whatever it is, it's going to be. Because in the end, God proves that his existence came down to earth, and it's because of the truth that things get changed. Converting people, using people like Obadiah to hide the 50 in a cave and feed them. He's not actually telling Jezebel or Ahab, but all you got to do is watch the videos, and then Ahab and Jezebel can figure out who Obadiah is and that he's feeding the prophets. So my life resembles what Christ did. My life resembles what Elijah did. I don't know a tremendous amount about them, but I do know that Christ did not hold his tongue, except for in the beginning when he was crucified. I mean, you know, towards the end, but it seemed like it was the beginning. Because you know how the serpent eats its own tail, goes in a circle. You know how things recycle in the Bible. It's one book after another with kings that this king is coming into play, and then the next king's coming into play, and then the next king is coming into play, and they overlap each other, and it's possibly like 3 years of each one, and you know, overlapping, and then it goes back to the next king again. And one person is multiple people in the Bible, because right now, how many of you have about 6 wings upon yourself? Or how many of you have at least 4 YouTube channels behind certain mask? So that means the Bible is written the same way. In the Bible, the same character, a certain character is another character right at the same time, and then overlapping it. I just think it's funny. Because who in the hell are you trying to kid? Stephen James and John Quentin Wise and whoever else that I don't know about that may be talking trash about me on their videos. Because that happened a lot in the beginning. Within the first year and a half, I mean, I had so many Robin Hood false prophet channels, that these people coming out of the woodworks. One of them called me a Robotoid tranny. So I did that video on May 21st, 2018. You know, like Daniel wearing a gold chain around his neck, because I felt like I was being honored at that time. It was so ridiculous that I couldn't even get mad. I just was like, huh? It was more upsetting when the people that were supposedly my friends turned against me. Because the first one that did it was Glop of Truth. Between the Glop of Truth and Matthew Daly, Derek Davis has the same last name as my kid's mom and actually looks similar. And then Matthew Daly, I don't know if that was Stephen James behind a mask or Jacob Israel, or if it was even Steve Benoon. I don't know. Sometimes you just imply as if it was, but because you talk about the Hebrew Matthew a lot, and that's what he claimed to be Hebrew, and his name was Matthew. So he's the one that crucified me for 3 hours as I was live streaming. And I even said, I'm like, towards the end, I'm like, I can't hang here for more than 3 hours. I had no idea because I was dumb. So many things he was talking about, I'm like, huh? I didn't even open my mouth. So I guess I was being prudent at that time. But again, if Christ was a prudent man holding his tongue, he would have never got crucified. So when Steve says he's being prudent holding his tongue, it's because you're bound. That's what it is. I think it's because you've been sealed up for the past few years. Because you had your run. You had your run against me, Steve, and it was fun. It was fun proving how ridiculous your accusations are. And then the threats that I'm going to be thrown into the lake of fire, or I'm going to be whatever, just like God's going to punish me for an eternity. Yeah, he's allowing me to get gang stalked by the devil because apparently he's like, hey devil, look, you see my servant over there? Who? Where? I don't. Oh, him? Who? Robin? Yeah, he's sticking fast to my name, and look how you already got your minions attacking him. Or maybe that was from the very beginning of my YouTube career. Again, it resembles the story of Job. I know there's a Job out there that's playing that role, and Stephen James is, it's possible he could be playing the Job role too. It's possible he can be playing every single role that I am actually manifesting in real life without a script or a purse. Because that's what Christ said. Go without a script or a purse. Is anybody listening? Is anybody going without a script or a purse? Or a money without tons of dollars. So I guess this question is for John Quentin Wise. John Quentin Wise, the third. When you talk about me being the devil and the Antichrist and all that stuff, who are you trying to kid? And this is an honest, serious question. Who are you trying to kid? What group of people is following you that you feel it's necessary to try to lie to them? Or at least, maybe it's not a lie. Maybe I am the Antichrist. Because Jesus Christ is really the devil in this system on the YouTube platform. So therefore, technically, you can say I'm the Antichrist because I'm coming after the Antichrist. Because I don't feel like the Christ spirit is truly in the Antichrist. I mean, Jesus there. So I come after him and I can be considered the Antichrist. But what house, are you... Is it the house of Israel that you're still fooling? Is it the Jews? It can't be the Gentiles because I've already... Is it the Philistines? The Philadelphia Steins? The Jews in Philly? Is that what that is? and is at the house of Israel, because, you know, I'm still confused as to who, where, what, and when, and how, really. All you can do is just walk it out and let people write stories about me, and then experience the stories that were already written, like the U2 videos from U2. I go into art museum and all of a sudden I start to experience a story that was already written about me, because my footage is in videos from 30 years prior to that moment. So that's a story written about me before. I would just assume before I was born, even though it was like I was only 11, 12 years old when some of the videos came out, and that footage was already in. And then this year I go to the art museum, I record on the X app, and all of a sudden I'm recording the same exact video in the art museum, and that song has my exact footage that I'm recording at that exact moment. What? I mean, thanks for reminding me, Skip. Sometimes I forget. It's because I can't convince a regular person like my brother, or I can show my wife, but she just still don't understand it, and who knows, maybe it frightens her to death because of what is concealed that I know about, and it's me. So I, you know, but that is some major fire that devours it just destroys Satan's kingdom. It devours it. It's like how I came up with that idea. I came up with the idea to go in an art museum and put on a soundtrack with U2 specifically. Think about how the hell, you know, U2 has to be created first, and then I have to watch the band and listen to their music and say, hey, yeah, you know what? I like that band. I'm going to go into the art museum I never went to, and I'm going to record a soundtrack, and I'm just going to basically like be a music video director, because that's really what I went in there to do. But I didn't realize I had already done that at some point in time when I was 8 years old. That's right. I think it was 8 years. The earliest video, maybe it was 1984, I think, was the earliest video from U2 in that collage of at least 7 videos. So I can't convince anybody that's like, let's say in my family, or just a regular, you're just a regular YouTuber that for whatever reason, maybe it was the Walmart video, came across my channel and maybe checked in here and there, and you're like, he's still up? What is he talking about now? I can't convince you, but I damn sure can convince the CIA type of group of members, the YouTube agents behind the scenes. I can convince you because you know some truth, but it's really not about convincing any of you. Truly, it's just about showing Bono, I got you. I caught you. I caught you. This is the catching away. I caught you, Bono. Pay me. I don't want to say F you, but at some point I get paid living on this earth. 47 years I've been influenced by the devil to make decisions. I've been influenced by God to make the right decisions, and I've suffered consequences. I went to jail for a few different times, a year and a half as an adult, 8 months as a juvenile, a month before that I ran, and 4 months at one point as an adult. A good 3 years of my life, 3.5 maybe, spent locked up, learning lessons. And if I go to jail again, it's not for anything that I actually did wrong. It's just the devil is trying to frighten me to shut up. because you predict the second 9/11 event in Philadelphia, Twin Towers, Liberty 1, Liberty 2, on the second 9/11. 22 years later, 21 full years later, 21 full years. It's like the days of Daniel, 21 days, being held up for 21 days, a day is a year. 2023, second 9/11, on that day, 9/11, in Philadelphia, Twin Towers go down at 17th JFK. It starts off there at 5:55 a.m. William Penn Building being the last one to be destroyed. It could happen all in 4 in 1 hour, so that way that city is destroyed. 4 in 1 hour, that city is destroyed. 4 in 1 hour. It could take 1 hour. It took 20 minutes for me to change the world. Going into the art museum, the world, well, let's say the whole world. I changed the whole world, because you all know. Aren't you angels? Didn't you come down from heaven? Don't you have the future list? Like, don't you have that? And if not, aren't you still in the know? And didn't I drop your jaw when I showed you the comparisons? I mean, I'm probably just, maybe I'll do some tonight. I've just been pretty busy. While the work's there, I might as well just work as much. That way the more bills can be paid off quicker, and at some point I'll be able to rest. Maybe if I work this way for the next 10 years, I'll be able to retire at the age of 57. But I think I'm going to retire a lot sooner than that. Even if I get killed on Earth. I'm still going to torment devils until they get cast out of here, so Satan knows that. But I really like slowing things down, because you can't catch it unless I slow it down. Like Bono singing like the dragon. I show the dragon in the bookstore. I'm pointing at its eye. It has the scaly skin like the woman that it shows, that went from the young woman to the old woman. The old woman turned to the young woman, skull and bones. It showed her skull. I showed you a skull in the art museum, the skull face. Quite amazing that how that lined up, but again, the only ones that truly see it are the ones that did it. And the audience, you may, even if you're just a regular person, you may see what I'm showing you, but what your mind does is it stops right there. It stops, because that's impossible. That doesn't even make sense. Somebody asked me, remember, Robin, had a long time, I think what are those people called that monitor comments? One of Derek Brose's, she's like, how did you get your footage to line up with YouTube's videos like that? I said I didn't. They did. They did it. They took my future video from 30 years ago somehow, which means this is before the foundation of the world. God had already chosen to take that footage and use it to His glory, because I've come in His name and I'm showing you, look. Yeah, devils may have a lot to do with it, the Planet X and what have you, but I'm not following. Well, no, I am following devils. I don't follow their ways all the time, but I am following devils on the YouTube platform. So they did it, but you can be a regular person and you see the comparisons, like, wow, that truly is your footage. But how? How? Are you lying to us, Robin? Are you really Stephen James Deshawn? Acting like you're some regular Robin Hood channel. Yeah, right. playing the role like you're a carpenter. Sure. Oh, and you work in Philadelphia. Okay. You're supposed to be like the angel of the Church of Philadelphia. Is that what you're playing, Robin? Is that what you're acting like? No, I don't really know what's going on. This is my life. Apparently there's a book written about it, and I have not gotten paid for it. I haven't gotten paid yet. I wonder if people thought I was Stephen James Deshawn. I wonder. They're like, wait a minute. Didn't we behead him already? That's Stephen James Deshawn. Robin's not, right? I mean, you're not Steve, are you, Robin? I don't know, am I? I don't know. Something weird happened. I was born the same exact time that Steve's father dies. That's unusual, right? I was born. So it's like the story of Elijah and being attacked, and then seeing the similarities where he's basically mocking their god Baal because he's just fake. And so it's 450 false prophets got slain in spirit. And then even if you continued on, I'll just call it Mount Carmel, the art museum. I'll call it the Mount of Olives, and because there's 2 footprints there, and you just go there and step on them. And so I mean, I went there before at 5:55 a.m. I thought a bomb was going to go off at the second 9/11 in Philly. And that was 3 years ago. That was back on 7/8/2020. And then I went down. Also, it may have been October 21st, 2020, but either way, I went down. I stood up on there, nothing happened. But, it's the second 9/11, I may do that again, and this time it may happen. And you just may, or an earthquake might happen right down the middle of Big Benjamin Franklin Parkway. Right down the middle of the Garden of Eden. Yeah, it could be. Who knows? So yeah, thanks, John Quinton, for always dropping my name. And whoever you're deceiving, it's apparently it must take place. Same thing with Stephen James, deceiving people about me. It's an honor that you have, because I thought before, like, is that, like, do you have 12? Like, doesn't Judas, didn't he have 12 disciples? Wasn't he, I don't know, but then what about Barabbas? Am I Barabbas? If I come down to Michigan and then they hang you on a cross, Steve, are they going to let me go? Considering I had already gotten crucified by Matthew Daly on 3/2/2018. So it's your turn? Or is that Jonathan Clegg's turn? Because whatever, I'm in the movie. I just want to know what character I'm supposed to play this time around. Or whatever. Or I want to know what character that they are trying to make me out to be this time around. I already know the character that I'm simulating, and that's Christ. Jesus Christ, that is. Not Christ Jesus, but Jesus Christ. Because I'm being slandered and attacked by actors acting like they're angry devils. Peace, love, joy, and kindness, everybody. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. This is John. I sound like I'm from Canada, I think. I'm not sure what accent I am. But here we go. Gonna listen to the ravenous bird again.